Where was you're ahead of those behind you. Here we go. Cool. All right. So did you got the
just running down here, and you
okay, cool. Yeah. So here we are. It's on Rails. So yeah, you started looking through the tutorial.
Yeah.
So you had a chance to look. Oh, you both did you read much of the tutorial already? Or?
No. I skipped
yeah.
Start.
Okay. So actually, Tim, do you want to talk through what you've done from the tutorial already? Did you start walking through it? I guess.
Yeah. So I've literally just installed Rails and then created the app, the old clone app, with this command, which is given us all of our structure.
Right. And you're both happy with like what the tutorial is trying to do? Like, what's the end goal? Not that we should be focused on
Building a Yelp clone.
Right. And you're both familiar with the Yelp clone, so
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Cool. So you've created that thing over there. And you had been asking Rodney already about, or mentioning about migrations and asking Tim if he was familiar with what migrations were.
Yeah.
Did you want to explain your thoughts on
my version of it, my understanding of it? Because we were talking about GitHub pair ponging, GitHub ponging,
right?
And I was concerned that because we have database involved, it may become harder.
Yes.
But then you kind of clarify that actually it will help us debug our migrations. So if our database migration is not working, it will become apparent when we try and GitHub pong. And the concept of database migration is basically to keep track of schema changes, and then also create custom scripts, I believe, to migrate the data as well. That's part of it. So if there's a change in schema, you can update the model, or if there's a change of an existing property of the model, you can write a script to handle that. So if something changes from like 200 characters, 500 characters, you can export the data, change the model, re-import the data.
How does that make sense?
Yeah, fundamentally makes sense.
I would say the terms there's some terms that we're using there, which include schema, and particularly schema. When Rodney says schema, does that make sense to you?
It's kind of the structure of the table. Is that right?
It's my understanding of it. Doesn't mean that's right.
Yes.
Defining the fields and the properties of those fields on the table.
Which is basically correct. I probably so that you don't get caught up. Schema is very specifically that for all the tables. So it refers to the full structure of the database, the database may only consist of a single, in which case that will be the schema. And actually Rails has once it's been set up, it has a schema.rb file where it stores like a reference of like what's the current sort of state of the database, which may not be in existence yet.
Just very quickly, because this is something that I've suffered the pains of not having this before. Like on one of the big projects that I was working on, they didn't quite have it set up when I first arrived. And so for Tim, to be like completely clear on why migrations are so awesome, is because up until now we've been versioning our code using GitHub. So if you wanted to deploy a version of your code at any point, you could of your code. As soon as you involve a database, if you don't version your database, you can. It's really hard. It's impossible. You have to do it manually. Say, okay, we're going to upload the code and then we're going to make the change on the database. Whereas if you version stuff, especially if you roll something out to production, it doesn't work. You can roll it back and apply the database migration in reverse, which is kind of the magic. So if you roll out to production, it doesn't work. Roll it back, and it will apply the database changes in reverse. We'll undo them.
Yeah.
So you can at any point roll out a version of your program, and you have code and the database. I'm very passionate about database migrations because I've suffered the consequences.
They are totally awesome. And I mean, you might, Tim, want clarification still what actually is a migration, but I guess it's something that we will come to in the tutorial. So we can maybe I think often these things they're difficult to really get into unless I think the discussion is great, but it's also ideally the discussion is about like a piece of code or a piece of thing. But the answer to Rodney's question is that it's having migrations that's what makes GitHub Pong work for databases. Yeah. Because if you didn't have migrations, then as you move the code backwards and forwards, you could end up with your databases in different states. And so you might get an error on one machine.
That's never happened on a software project. The history of software development.
Always happens. So what the migrations is giving you is it's giving you like a kind of a GitHub history, like a versioned history of the states that database can be in. So by using the migrations, we can use that to ensure the database is in exactly the same state on your machine and on Roddy's machine. And
if it isn't, then we'll know that there's a problem if our migration. If I do a pull, bring the server up and it fails, we'll know that that code could also be rolled out to production.
Indeed, which is another benefit. Absolutely. So yeah, so we're here. We've done a Yelp clone with this -d Postgres SQL -t. Are we happy with what the flags and there's explanations what the flags mean there? I mean, you've read some of this bit.
So we've gone through this.
So was there anything in here that you felt uncomfortable with?
The default testing, we're not sure what that is.
Yeah, what's the difference between test unit and RSpec?
Oh, okay. So right, that's interesting. So you guys, I guess in the course of why you've encountered RSpec and Cucumber, and you haven't seen test units?
No, I don't think so.
No. Now I guess I could just explain it and we could move on, or we could sort of actually look at example. Maybe, I mean, basically it's another. There are many testing frameworks, and so by default, actually with Rails and Ruby, RSpec and Cucumber are not used. They're kind of like more recent upstarts that have been added. But there are other sort of older testing frameworks that are used with Rails and Ruby. But so if we do a quick search for Rails test, do Ruby. If you do Ruby testing frameworks. Then yeah, so if you click the first one maybe there, with an example. Yeah, so I think it'd be more clear. But yeah, so you've got RSpec, mini tests, test units, Bacon, Roll, Riot, Shindo, Test Rocket. So you can see that. I think these two do the same search there. This is rubytoolbox.com. I mean, I think you might be faster if you just actually did a search for Ruby testing frameworks because it's a URL within there.
So at some point, supposedly they'll switch out test unit for RSpec based on these stuff.
Well, that's an interesting question because actually DHH, who is the author of Rails, is vehemently against RSpec. There's a very interesting series of videos that I can show to you, which is called "Is TDD Dead?" in which DHH, who's the author of Rails,
I've been circulating that post amongst the students.
Right. The interesting thing about that post is it's only the beginning of the story, because it's followed by a series of 5 single-hour debates between DHH and two very, very big names in the sort of agile software movement. And it's like DHH kind of like has to roll back a little bit in the face of detailed questions on these things. But I'll have to because I think a lot of people will like use that as an excuse to say, DHH doesn't like. The interesting thing is, it's not he's saying he's not doing testing. He's particularly he doesn't. Well, it's interesting. I think if you start to take it apart, it becomes a much more complex thing than him just saying he's kind of against these things like hexagonal Rails and certain sorts of RSpec mocking and stubbing chain wrecks that you can use that are bad testing patterns. So I think it's if you've been circulating that thing, I'll have to remember to.
If you search for TDD, it's like the third result.
Oh sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a big thing. I mean, this is the thing I talked about before. Is there's this thing that people don't want to do TDD because it makes it harder at the beginning. So there's always a movement of like any excuse. Let's avoid doing TDD because we'll get. And absolutely, if you want to build something just really quickly,
I took a picture of the CUDA book, chapter 9, saying that people talking about exactly this. And what you should do is not stop testing, it's get better at testing.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the thing, absolutely, is that you'll get a benefit from good testing, but if you do testing wrong, it will just be a world of pain. And it is a really difficult line to walk. I get the it's the DHH. I must circulate the DHH debate videos. Translate that to R. It's also translate DHH to R. That's interesting. Okay. Right. So, but we're asking about test units, and so that sort of that comparison there about we've got RSpec. You can see that the RSpec and mini tests are the two big favorites, and actually test unit, which is the default out of the box, is not necessarily used so much. So it's all kind of good stuff. Anything else in what we're looking at so far? It's not making sense.
That was actually that's raised to work. It was on the official 317 as well. Yeah.
Most of this technology is driven by porn, really. I mean, it's the way of the web. I mean,
We got featured with our t-shirts on.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one of the things that when you work with your tutorial or anything and you're pairing is you try and pick up anything, I mean, exactly as you did, anything that looks unclear, and then have a short discussion in the pair. Ideally with or if I'm not here, then going out to bring it to a coach in a channel on Slack, and just get at least a general sense of what they all mean.
Okay, so let's do that. What's an example of some temporary stuff that gets stored here? That was the one that Tim and I were like,
Yeah.
okay, temp.
Just a vague folder.
Yes. So again, and so the interesting thing is rather than me giving you an answer for it, which of course is me giving you a fish every day rather than showing you how to fish, is how would we find out what kind of temporary stuff gets stored in this folder?
Can I take a stab?
You can take a. You want to guess?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, so for example, you've got a process that for example, resizes images or something like that. Then this is a file where you can, if you want to run a process that gets to chain stuff together, you can save it to that folder, and then run something else, and then run something else, and then when it's finished, then save that final one into its final destination. It's called a temp folder.
Yeah, we can see we've got an assets cache.
Yes. Well, this is the interesting
Folders
thing.
within
Looking in the folder
Yeah.
and seeing the names of the folders and the files in there, and inferring
Sessions as well. So you can, so I guess that you store server side and reference to all the sessions that get opened up, which generally expire after.
Assuming that one knows what we mean by sessions, which I guess you do.
Well, we saw it in Sonata.
Oh, okay, and you're yes.
Ish. Yeah. Yeah. What's the server.pid?
That's interesting. Do you know what the server PID is?
Well, PID is generally process identification.
Yes.
So I don't know why it would be in the temp folder. We can look it up.
Well, I think you're right about it being so PID generally is process IDs. But do we know what a process ID is? Well,
so
what is a process ID?
if you bring up so this is the activity monitor. Actually, you'll have that. You have top. You type the top on here.
Top.
Yeah. This is a list of all the processes that are running on your computer.
Okay.
If you see up there, you've got PID.
Right. Okay.
So that shows you. So I have this one, which is the pimped out version that allows you to sort by CPU or memory usage.
You can actually sort this one if we do, for example, we're in here. Oops. If we're in here, I can sort. At least my version of top, I can sort by certain ones. Oh, I might have forgotten to do it, but looks like much easier to sort.
Yeah. And you can see a list of all the running processes, the memory consumption, CPU usage, virtual memory. You can also kill processes from here as well.
Right.
This is really useful if, for example, I was using this, when you're if you're doing cartridges and stuff like that, and you program an infinite loop, and it just keeps running in the background. Like if you run it in Sublime, then you can come in here and you can see it, and you can actually kill the process.
Okay. It's the same as running what's it called, terminal monitor.
Yeah, activity monitor. Yeah, task manager.
So, yeah.
So this is the 1970s version.
Yeah.
Of the exactly.
That one looks amazing. Yeah.
And so this is it's useful. So you have the process ID.
Okay.
And so I guess if we have a process that is run to do something specific, it would create something in the temporary folder.
Well, the interesting question to ask here, if we look back at this, is what kind of process is going to be associated with this? If we have what is this going to be? What kind of process is going to be running?
Well, this is the server that we're running. So.
Right. And are servers always running?
No. Well, only when we're running them.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So is the process ID for the server temporary or permanent?
Temporary.
Right.
Yeah. So changes.
So each time we start the server up, we get a new kid.
And is it something that we need to remember from? Do we have to remember five times ago?
Can you run a CAT on that? on that file? Does it show anything?
So
I think you need to go into start with temp graphics because you're in the root. Well, now I think you've CD to your home directory. Like when you've got CD by itself,
I didn't know that.
Squiggle. So you're now.
that was really clever.
I mean, you can hit tab to just hit tab. And just hit tab again. So there was a number there, 2480.
Oh yeah.
I would say rather than cat, if I may. I know that in the beginning of the course, I generally find more.
What does that do?
It's the same cat, but I think but that's the one that I happen to learn first. Cat has actually is more functional. More is just sort of simpler and out of the box. But also, there's other ones like tail and head and anyway.
Yeah.
But generally, if you just want to look at something on the the file, I think you find that more is probably a bit easier to manage.
I have a question. My grep doesn't work. No, it doesn't.
Sometimes I have to be present for computers to behave. Might really irritates my wife. Yes, so there we go. But I guess the point there about the sort of exploring together. So there's like in this case, Rodney already had an idea. Tim found there's some information here. We looked up some more things. We played around. Now we're kind of like we're in the zone.
Can you if you run top in this, maybe create a new window. Don't cancel that. And then I'd be interested to see if we can. I don't know how to do this.
2480 there, Ruby.
Okay, cool. So, and then how do you filter by process again? Isn't it?
You can do PS AUX. I mean, for me, I'm here. If you want to just do, there's lots of different ways to do it. Just to kind of the way that I have learned from if you want to go to your thing, just do PS space AUX and then do pipe grep and do number. Well, you do Ruby or whatever. Just type Ruby. There you go.
So do you want to try this as well? If you type that's one way of doing it. The other way, if we know the process ID, so top flag P 2480, and then it would load this up with just that process.
Yeah, go back to this window. Okay. And just do Q, and then to top
2480.
See, I think it depends there on like which version of top you have and so on. But
the idea was
you may need to do. I think you've got like an older version of top in there.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have to do a through upgrade top or through install. Anyway,
yeah.
I would say in some way though, like it's
you can see they're related.
Yeah. What I would generally use if you do PS space AUX and then space and then pipe symbol and then space like grep 248. I guess it's now. I hasn't found it. Interesting.
I changed it. Sorry, I restarted. Just to test. It was a new
so
one.
if you do Ruby, which is what Sam was saying before, instead of 2480.
Yeah. And so this is if you've got a runaway server and you need to shut it down, then this is the way to find. So you can see that the rail server is actually running there. And if you need, so you guys, you know how to kill. Like we've identified there. The PID is 3151.
Isn't it just kill and then the process ID?
It is. Do you know how to kill with extreme prejudice?
/9.
-9. Kill -9.
Yeah.
So you could just try that. Try kill space -9 and then 3151. Boom. See what's over there. Kill. Yeah, it's really good. So anyway, sometimes you need to know how to kill with turbo extreme prejudice. So what I would just do actually as well, because you like that H top, you could just do here brew install H top.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the boot out.
Sorry, H.
Yeah.
Like that.
You have to run it with sudo.
So yeah, it'll do sudo H top. Well, try with H top.
But it doesn't give you.
No, okay. So just I think how do you get out there? Just Q. Yeah. And sudo. There you go.
Okay, cool.
Load.
And then if you click on it's these two. Bring up the menu. So that allows you to go up and down now, and you can sort by something else.
Cool. Okay.
It is when you code yourself into an infinite loop.
Which I actually did on the Ruby refresher and I started really badly. Okay.
So did we finish on? We were reviewing. Is there anything we were unclear about? We've done the temp.
Seeding the database is just putting data into it. Yeah.
How would you describe seeding the database?
Yeah, creating some initial data that is generally required for the application to even boot. So we said before, yeah, like an admin username is a typical seed.
Yeah.
And any configuration options and their defaults. Maybe, yeah, even if you have the code and you have the schema, if you try to boot up your app, it would still fail because there are some dependencies.
Yeah. Okay.
So you've already booted the server.
Yeah, we ran the server and we've just run this command as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
So we've got this here on localhost.
Okay.
And this is the next step.
So always the first thing to do is having both had a chance to look at it. It's like for either of you, is there anything in there that is like unclear? Any words that we don't know? This is what I want to say to my son is doing Japanese homework, and he says, "I just don't understand this question." I said, "Have you looked up all of the individual words in the dictionary?" No. Look up all the words in the dictionary first, and then come back to me. So there's kind of like but this is nothing new for you guys, is it? Or is there anything in this, just like this description and this, bit of code there?
No.
Anything new at all, or anything that's maybe not new, but just like, what was that again?
Does this create? What's the name of the database?
That's a good question.
This creates.
How would we find out what the name of the database is?
To open PSQL and run well, you need to know the name of the database.
Yeah.
Before you can see it. So in here in your terminal.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm with you. How do I load it?
Is it /L or something? Oh,
I think you're already in, yeah.
I'm expecting. Yes. Your clone development.
Yeah.
This is convention over configuration.
Is it gives you a development?
Yeah, that was on comment before. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say that we probably want to create this one as well. Otherwise, our test would fail. So if you run that, I would expect to see a _test one created automatically, which is what we had to do by hand with Sinatra to get it all working.
Yeah.
So if you, how could you?
But why have we not been? If this just advised, if this doesn't work, create one.
So
and we're
I guess,
creating a test one here.
I don't know if there's a default Rails. No. So where did it pick up? So I guess by default it's going to say development. If there's no environment variable specified, it will default to development. So if we push to Heroku, we'd have to flag it as production. Probably, maybe we'll find out.
Indeed, that is an interesting question.
So what
So why is that test?
So because if we want to create, if we want to do TDD, remember in Sinatra we had to create, like when we did the which one was it? One of the ones. Yeah, my manager. Yeah, we had to create both development and test.
Yeah.
So we've got development.
But you've got your development manager.
Yeah.
Test, development.
So I'd say my assumption will be that if we run this, it'll create your clone _test.
Yeah.
So you can see here we're already using Rails conventions.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why it's not telling us to create a test one now. It's saying if this doesn't work.
Yeah, they try and trick us all the time.
Well, I think it's also that there's slight variations in the versions of Ruby, and they're depending upon certain other things. For some people, you don't need to run this at all.
It'll create both of them.
Yeah, or there's some that when you start running the testing thing, it will just
create it.
Yeah, so I mean that's partly a legacy issue of maybe people having slightly different versions of Rails and so on. I mean, I think what you're doing there, Rodney, is excellent. And what you're doing is you're saying, you created a hypothesis about, oh, if we run that, it will do a thing here in the database. And I think that's a very powerful learning strategy generally, is, make hypotheses and then test them. And then if it doesn't work, you've got information, you can adjust your hypothesis. And that's like the critical way forward. I mean, the other interesting thing that you were then starting to ask questions there, Rodney, about is it defaulting to development, is it doing this, or what that goes on. These are also questions that one can answer through the process of like sort of reviewing through the code. So there's an interesting question now about whether you want to kind of start exploring the Rails configuration stack in order to answer some of those questions, or let that go for them and come onto it once you've made a bit more progress.
I mean, I personally feel I'm pretty confident that would be the case.
Well, I think that's the danger in computing, is that it's often very easy to feel confident that something's the case, but then we also have to, this is something I talk to people about a lot, is about being prepared to step, because it's basically our assumptions in computing that kills us. And the problem I think a lot of people have when they come to the computing is that they're treating it a bit like the real world, and that, you can assume certain things. Like, the real world is, like, to me, generally far more consistent, or at least maybe it's an illusion that's been created because we've grown up in it and we know where to find a shop and how to get money out of a machine and buy things in stores, right? But these little beasts are kind of like the children of these autistic savants, right? And they're so kind of like precise, and they're so. But anyway, it's good. It's great to have assumptions, but it's also great to realize that there are assumptions, and that when we get stuck, that sometimes we're stuck in the level because we need to step out a level. But actually, right now, the thing that we're talking about is kind of, it's not, whether that was true or not doesn't affect our ability to carry on. So we can kind of leave it, and then just as long as we're aware that we may have to.
Well, I think it's about making optimal use of the time in the learning process, and I feel it's like an educated assumption. I'm prepared to research it if something doesn't work.
Right, then I think you're in a good place. Cool. So then we were sort of focusing on this one. If we go into this area here, is there anything in this area that we're not comfortable with, or even if new, is like for example, group test, RSpec Rails, Hevara? Are we happy with everything in here?
Yeah, I think so. We've used group test before. RSpec Rails is just going to be the Rails version for RSpec.
PG. And so you opened the existing gem file.
It's really interesting. SAS. Do you know what SAS Rails is? You know what SAS is?
I've heard of SAS. I don't know what it does.
I know what it's related to, but I don't. It's related to CSS. I think it's a way of programmatically creating your CSS files, so you can, instead of specifying like one color in 10 different parts of your CSS file, you can create a variable and say this is the color, and then you generate your CSS files programmatically. It's like CSS v2. Uglifier. Do you know what that is? We talked about it in one of the stand-ups, but I don't remember.
You could read it on line 10.
Yeah. So there's this concept of minify or uglify.
Yeah, minify. I'm familiar with that.
Similar to that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, uglify makes JavaScript really hard to read, but they're much lighter files.
So should we leave all these in here and just add what we want to it?
I would definitely do that, because until I become familiar with Rails, I'm guessing if you remove something, it'll probably break something. There's probably a lot of dependencies in there. Turbo links makes following links. Okay, cool. So I'm guessing that's some sort of, you can create a placeholder, and it will automatically detect that. This stuff. Oh, nice. So these, I don't know how this one works specifically, but document generators. So if we build an API on Rails, SDoc would generate documentation automatically based on the code.
Okay. That
you could then share publicly for people to understand how to interact with your API. And that seems to become by default.
Notice also here that we've got, in the comments, links to places to find out more information.
Okay. So that's similar to, that's just a group for documentation.
Unicorn as the app server. But, well, we remember that from Capistrano. Huh.
These are optional ones that we might want.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Capistrano is a really interesting one. Do you interested in more or less what it is? Like,
I've no idea what it is.
so when we deploy to Heroku, we do a git push, and Heroku sort of does everything magically and automatically. For Heroku, the way this was traditionally done was you'd SSH into a server, download the code, and then run the migration manually, or you'd then maybe create a script to do that, which is kind of works when you have like one server, especially for like your code and your database. But then Capistrano is a deployment tool which allows you to, for example, you can say, hey, you can run it on your machine and say, cat deploy this particular branch, and there's pre-configured options that say where your server is, what the SSH options are. Maybe you've got a server for your database, another one for your web server, another one for caching, another one for your index server, and then it will run all these scripts, it will run all the migrations. So for example, it will create a new folder, download the latest version of the code, apply the database changes, clear the caches, and then it would switch symlink over. So in your root folder, like www, it's this version of the code, now it's this version of the code. And it'll allow you also to roll them back. And it's amazing. To go from not having that automated to having that automated. So you can just do like cat deploy a branch name. So I used to use this for when I was a product manager. So if a new feature branch was created, when I had to test it, I would do cat deploy staging and the branch name. And it would do all of those things that you would normally do manually. Heroku has a lot of that stuff sort of built in. If you're just doing it on like AWS, Capistrano automates all that stuff.
Right. Okay.
And it's very cool.
Good old buyback.
So I'd say like going forward, I think for you to to have full discussions is absolutely doing that. Don't necessarily feel that you have to understand every little thing. And I think Spike was quite saying that. I think the discussions are most valuable. Not that now anything about Capistrano isn't valuable. But for example, if you now go ahead and type this in, and you're having a discussion around issues that come up as a result of having actively changed something in the system, those are the ones that are going to be most valuable for learning, I would say. Mm-hmm. So I think you already got the idea that you kind of agreed that you're going to add this code into here. So do you want to go ahead and do that and see if we can generate an issue?
And am I just having it as a separate test group? We've got these ones defined in development and test.
Well, I think
I watched that, but it's just fast forward. No, you don't need to be above it.
I don't know how gem piles work.
Well, I think the interesting question to ask yourself here, as always, the second question is, would you need RSpec and Capybara available in your development environment?
No.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting, but you have to do it. So Tim says no, and Rodney says yes. So since Tim, Rodney, why do you think you would need RSpec and Capybara to be available in the development mode of your running Rails app?
It's a fundamental misunderstanding on my part of what each environment gets used for, because for some reason I'm associating test to like a CI server.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know that if you run your tests locally, it also uses the test flag, like an environment.
Just keep that. So it took a while.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, so no, I mean, but your hypothesis is that you would need these, and I'm not saying which is right or wrong, but I think this is the interesting thing, particularly when you've got something where there's a, so you have mentioned that, Tim. Why do you think that RSpec and Capybara would only be needed in the test environment?
I just don't really see why we would need them outside of test. And I thought that the first time we tried to deploy something to Heroku, one of the issues was the fact that we hadn't broken our gems out into different sort of test and development, and that was causing problems. So that's why I would think that we only need to test. But Ronnie's got a deeper understanding.
No. Maybe the solution would be to put them just in tests. I think it's better to. I'm of the opinion that it's better to not add it to every environment, and then if it fails, then add it to that environment. It's a safer way of doing things.
I think it's conservative with a small c. Not that I mean any political judgments here, but I think when you're working with computers, I think being incredibly cautious and conservative in terms of, just like only making things available in the only ever using only ever using the tool that has the least power necessary to get the job done, and only ever making things accessible in the most minimal way possible is a way to reduce the complexity overall as you go forward, and then only add things as you actually need them, which is a great way to go. But it looks like the bundle has successfully completed there.
So you only added it to test grade.
Yeah, I've just put it into test.
Okay.
And I mean, I could leave you wondering about this. I think that Tim is correct in this case because, at least for the normal operation of Rails, when you're running in the development right here, like in this Rails server, no tests are going to happen in the development mode in Rails. They're only going to happen when you run, like as we could do in a minute, when we run RSpec or what have you, that will automatically switch Rails into its test mode. And so it's,
because of the RSpec configuration file. Do you want to bring it up quickly?
Yeah, although I'll say you haven't got RSpec installed.
Oh yeah, we haven't actually got it
and there's also, the thing to note here is not RSpec, it's RSpec Rails.
Yeah.
So it's RSpec with lots of stuff added to make it work with Rails. So you might find that things are not necessarily in the place that you expect them to be, but yes, absolutely looking at the configuration files is a good thing to do. But probably jump in there and get your RSpec installed.
Yeah.
No. What about in Rails? There we go. First line test. Yeah.
So I think you guys are doing well. I would love you to leave this recording carrying on, and I'll come and stop by, a few times today, and obviously I've got some other pairings booked later in the week. Is that? I don't know if you've had a full hour now because the kickoff was at 10. How are you feeling about carrying on with this? If I start I'm gonna go.
You said to leave the recording running.
Well, if you're happy with it, then just leave it running because I think.
But then when we do the pong.
But even if we only capture one half of the screen and it's still getting the audio, I think it's a great because part of the thing is in the future there's an ongoing thing of training coaches about supporting pairing and pair scaffolding and so on. So for me, basically recording as much as possible is like always a huge win. Of course, you may say, right, enough of being turn it off, absolutely fine. But I'll leave that up to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
You're most welcome. I'll double check with you that you're doing.
I'm just going to take 2 minutes out.
No.
Do you want a coffee or anything?
I think I'm alright. I'm going to go to the toilet.
Or it's your computer.
Yeah, exactly. What we might encounter as we progress is that our data something, but given you might have to get like reloading some microchip, but given all right. So that's
Thank you.
The mental student thing, it's fine, it's not dollars.
Yes. At least we know how well your password is working out.
Well, yeah, it's just giving you time. What I understand is, so this is case, you go to this one.
And mate, can you please have a Pairing strawberry.
Thank you very much. Should we get the kit sorted, or?
I was just seeing like where's an actual break-in in the tutorial, and I think it would make sense for you to keep going until the end here. Okay. But like for the first test, and then get that stuff.
Sure.
You did like the project scaffolding.
Cool. Okay. Spec file.
You know, it's possible to have a default aspect.
I was thinking that. I thought I set that up at some
So
point.
maybe you don't need it really.
Yeah.
The spec. Yeah.
Tim, what about you? Do you need your power?
Not for now.
Other things are fine. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I can do. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I think I did set one up a while back.
Okay. Anyway, then you'll spec.
Browse helper.
So this literally is the same as putting in.
Just require it in here. Yeah. I'm just going to require Catalara rails here. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, I hadn't read that, but
yeah, I can carry on with this anyway if we want.
you can what?
I can carry on driving, or do you want to switch now?
I mean, I would be happy to switch.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it on this one.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I cloned your repo.
Yeah.
So the important thing here for this Git Pong to work is to not modify. So if I do a pull now and then I commit back to mine, it's going to be harder if you then try and pull down. If you modify something on yours and then commit and then try and pull mine down on top,
Okay.
that's when it gets like kind of funky. So it's quite the only strict hard and fast rule is to do this. So you push up, I'll pull down, and I'll push up to mine, and then you pull down. But if you make some changes and commit, and then try and pull mine down, there's going to be a merge conflict.
Yeah.
So the important thing is to stick
Yeah.
to one.
Sure.
So what I've done is added a remote. So I forked this, and then I cloned mine,
Yeah.
And then I added Git remote C. So mine is called Rodney instead of calling Origin. And you know how to rename Git remote rename?
No, I've never renamed.
Okay, cool. Look, Git remote rename Tim to Paul, for example.
Yeah.
So now I could do like Git Paul instead of Origin. I could call it Paul.
Yeah.
So it's just a way of and I personally do this for Heroku. So when Heroku gets added, it's called Heroku, and then I rename GitHub from Origin to GitHub.
Okay.
So I can be like Git push GitHub master,
Yeah.
Git push Heroku master.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for me, it's clearer. It's just a label at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay.
So now what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pull from yours because you've just made a change. Git pull Tim master.
Yeah.
And then run bundle every time. I will actually gem file lock is here, so you should need to run bundle. That's kind of what that does. Anyway. All right. Okay. First test homepage with the link.
What do you use for terminal?
Item. So you
Here's item, just different things.
different .env files.
Okay.
You didn't customize yours yet
Not well.
using a dot. It's just a different one. Oh no, you have.
I
It's
have
got,
with
like,
master, but yeah, I haven't.
It's just a different one.
Okay, be good to get at some point.
I mean, it's a tree. No, I always call it that, and it's not called that.
Dot files. This is how I screwed up my bash profile though.
Yes.
I found like a really customized one. It probably was like Zach Hoffman's Holmes or something.
Yeah.
And I whacked it in and everything broke.
Yes. RVN broke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, every time I've done this, so fucked it up on mine. So what I've been doing ever since then was exporting it to a text file.
Yeah.
My actually, so I got one step which was just to do flash profile. Come on, into profile.text.
So yeah.
Yeah, so it created that. Well, obviously there's more stuff in it. Then Molly told me how to do this. Was profile. Watch this, ready? So, and then to do that, and that would copy it. That would append the RVN configuration to the end of the bash profile. So yeah, you have to do that. Otherwise, it will fuck up your. So we're gonna make a spec features directory. Okay, so I'm just gonna. So what do we have a spec?
We've got
No.
spec. Yeah.
Do we?
Just our spec just created spec for us.
Oh yeah.
I think.
CD spec. Like this. So make here spec features. You agree? Okay. Touch spec features.
Yes.
Feature. Yes.
Yeah.
Require. And Rails helper is the. What is Rails helper? Oh, okay. It's the aspect configuration files for Rails.
Yeah,
And
it's got all the
that loads in
stuff.
spec helper as well. Okay,
Yeah, and then
I'm okay with that.
yeah.
more or less.
That's
I
a
don't
record
get,
migration. Yeah.
I get it, but I'm like,
Yeah. Okay.
feature. Context. Okay, this is new. No. I'm getting nervous now. I forgot what it was like to drive. Scenario. No.
I should display.
Should display a prompt. Is it?
They really trying to make it over to your screen.
Page. Oh. Okay. Page to have content. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like filming vision, something like that. To have link.
Weird. Do you get nervous when you drive this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
I'm better at like spotting typos than I am doing anything else.
So,
What was that little GitHub thing that came up then?
oh,
You say
beautification. That beautification. This is my indentations.
Yeah, I've got it on. Put it on here, I think.
I live and die by it.
Doesn't look like that.
Okay. Makes sense.
Connection bad.
We didn't create the database. I didn't create the database. And this is what I was talking about, ponging in databases. So I don't know if P-SQL is running, but let's see. We'll find out. Okay.
So what's this?
P-SQL is just not running, I'm guessing. Okay. Cool. Mix. I'm happy with that. Okay, here we go. So I use this to start my server instead of doing it on the command line, or having it set up as a service. So running it again. That works. Ready? So this is what I was saying. So the question is, will this automatically create a test database? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Rails environment. Yes. Okay?
Yeah.
So you'll have to do this as well with Pong.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Okay.
Note to self.
Okay, so the test is failing.
Okay, what we getting?
No root.
Okay.
To do with the routing. Makes sense, I get it. You should make a change in config. roots.
Because all our
are
roots are held in concrete roots.
apparently. Okay, look. Approximately log view. Okay. The priority is based on the order of creation. Yeah. So it executes linearly. That's kind of important because you, yeah. What does this do? Can you do the hash? So the index action on the restaurant's controller. More actions we get added to the roots. Okay. So does that mean we can switch this line out for? Is that what that means? Resources. I would struggle with like what's the column go to? Was it there? Was it there? So
Unless that's constant, so that's a different.
and that might. Okay. I mean, I get it. I'm like a little bit intimidated, but I get it. So we can get rid of that.
Yeah.
Just have that. Now, if you run bin rake roots, this is what you'll have to run as well.
Okay.
We get a list of different routes created by resources for restaurants. One of them will have resources. But I think it's kind of cool. Okay, my bad. You shouldn't have to run this one. This will create a migration. Right, I think.
Okay.
Well, this won't when we get to the database part. You just have to make sure the test element is there, but this shouldn't. You shouldn't have to do this.
Okay.
Let's see what happens.
We'll find out.
Bin rate. Roots. Okay, there's nothing in that. Oh, I put my rubbish in that. Hopefully people notice.
You get a list of the different routes created by resources restaurant.
So I'm just gonna. I was wondering if that exploded that.
Yeah.
Bin rake roots. Where does it create these?
Feels like it should update that, shouldn't it?
Maybe it's just like this is just a way of like sort of showing you how it does it.
It's quite cool that it just makes all those available for us.
No, I still don't get where that did. Maybe control. Seconds. Models, views, assets, roots. Action controller. So we ran this before we added that, right? Or no, we added that.
We haven't yet.
Yeah. But I didn't get. I mean, what's changed now? That's the only thing that's changed. So I don't get why we're running aspect to give us anything different here. That's the same one, right?
Did you create another?
So there's no way to.
Initialize. Oh no. Okay, that's right.
That's the area we get. We do get that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it changed after we put this in, right?
Yeah.
Oh, this
Yeah,
area
so-
we had.
It's time to switch. So I added one line. Sweet. Git add all git. Git. Okay.
So I need to set up remotes to yours. Can't remember.
Git add remote or git remote? Git remote.
Git remote add.
Yeah, because think of like so you there's that, the easy way to remember that is that there's a whole bunch of commands that follow remote. And so like it's like a hierarchy, like git, then remote,
Yeah.
and then add delete
Whatever it is.
the name. So if you
Uh,
and then where you want to put a name,
yeah.
what you want to call it. And I do honestly believe this pairing Pong, Pong. It is kind of cool because we have our own laptop environment shortcuts.
So just rod call, yelp,
Clone.
clone, double git, yeah.
Hang on.
Like that.
Yeah. If you open up Sublime, it's like no, it's not showing. It's not showing. You can see it in Atom. If you go in, there's a hidden folder. Okay. If you go into config, that's all it actually does. Yours, why isn't yours showing?
Well, then
That's weird. All right, I'm lying. That's weird. But essentially, that's all that command does. It's weird that it's not showing.
Okay, so git pull.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's master, but defaults to master.
That worked, didn't it? You asked to pull from the remote Rob, did not specify branch.
Yeah.
Let's specify.
This way you could do the git pull dash u rod master.
Set it up for the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what did we add?
If you run an RSpec, it should fail because you don't have the test anyways.
Yeah.
Look at us seeing these error messages and not being like,
Oh my god, what does that mean?
That's got to be progress. What was the line? So, that's actually different to. No. Okay, cool. If I run,
I don't fully get this, to be honest. I think that just shows you.
yeah, I guess it's just showing us.
No, this exists. That's crazy.
Where's the root?
Where's the what?
You actually like it?
Roots folder? Oh no, sorry, I'm.
Concrete.
So,
That's it. That's what I wanted.
let's do something.
Yeah. Also has to create a pass for create, read, update, and destroy.
So say, let's just talk to them.
I have a lunch at 1, just so you know.
Yeah, sure.
All right, this is exciting.
Controllers.
So,
That makes a bit of sense.
well, it does make sense.
Is shortcut for generate. This command generate a file, restaurants controllers, RB, and app controllers.
It is. We are also go to this.
So I would say just go back to right. So it shows you what it's done.
It's created this. It's invoked
We've changed that.
Ruby.
This is this, right?
I mean, it's invoked. What does that mean?
Well, I think. I know. Right, okay.
Help is restaurants help by JavaScript. Restaurants coffee. Oh my god, it's coffee script.
Why did we never? It never read this.
And also aspect test inspect controllers. Let's delete the latter for the moment.
But essentially, it's skipped over that.
This should only show.
Which one does it say to delete?
It's going to be inspect.
Aspect test inspect controllers.
Which I don't have. Do I?
It seems a bit circular to me.
What did you do wrong, Tim?
Show this,
Ah,
because
no.
Just show the output again.
show
It
this.
doesn't say anything about spec.
No.
Maybe it's an outdated version because we're using aspect in Gnome to create it or something.
Yeah, alright, well, I can't delete what's in there, so just carry on. There's no.
Yeah.
Can't load such file spec up.
Uh oh.
This is going to be the original. Oh no,
Cool.
okay. Which indicates we need to add an index method in our controller who uses an archer. Yeah. Kind of Rails a simpler, just defines like so.
I like that. But in Rails it's simpler.
Yeah, let's have 5 lines. Okay.
Having said that, that does make sense. Def. Because it creates the place like the controller is generated for you. Def index. You know, that's actually really easy. Raise.
It's clearer, isn't it?
Def. It's just a method, yeah.
Yeah. I think I've got the server still running.
So it's correct.
Does it auto?
Maybe not. Okay, so restaurants.
What does it say?
Is that what I wanted?
Hang on, let's have a look at the error. Def index and then raise. Hello from the index. Raise. No, it's right.
Seems okay.
Raise an error.
Yeah.
I suspect we'll run it into
Just create a web server running on 3000. The error page just shows exactly the line in the controller where the error we raised occurred. Yeah, nice. We need a view and a model to give response back to the user. We don't have to have model meet if we remove the research from the analysis to get the following error.
No, it should be like there are no views.
Missing template we've got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
That's
Index. You understand what all this is saying?
Yeah. Well, no. It sounded very cocky. So it's looking in. It's looking in views.
Yeah.
It's looking for something called restaurants dash index. Well, I mean, you can probably see that. Just refresh it. Right, so it's looking for something.
Just like a HTML page.
With the language format HTML, that's the only option. And these are all the different possible options for templating engines.
Okay.
So
We essentially haven't created a view.
yeah, searched in users to the app views. So
Find all args, dot first, or arrays.
that's just a Rails
Template.
error.
Okay. Much nicer enough.
What is Hamel?
Oh, I found that.
Harder?
Well, no, I can't remember what projects it was on now, where I was just getting all of these. I think it might have been Bookmark Manager, where I tried to restructure everything, and I was getting all these Hamel errors. I was like, what the fuck is this? Ben was saying he prefers it.
Who does?
Ben, Coach Ben.
I mean, yeah. I'm happy to roll with ERB for now. And maybe we can create a branch in
Yeah.
Hamel and rewrite the views.
Yeah.
In Hamel just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, that sounds like a lovely extension. Okay, so yes, restaurants. So creating the index dictionary ERB file. Last back. Really slow, isn't it? I just got database schema that RB doesn't exist yet. So this is our migrate.
Wait.
So this is all the expected failure. What's this?
We've been getting that the whole time, and that's just the first time we've seen it. Yes.
Oh really?
Okay. Should I look at this automatically?
Run break DB migrate. We haven't run that at all, have we?
No. So now.
Okay. And you'll need
Still
to run
getting
that as well?
Message check though. No? Or is this yeah, I'm not going to run it because then we'd be able to see.
Yeah. Well, we're nearly out. Switch over again, I think.
Can you just refresh it just so I have my benefit?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Yeah, an empty view.
Yeah. Could actually have this out on its own so we can see it.
You've got a spectacle installed.
I have, and then sometimes I forget to use it.
Look, you can hit.
Well,
So if you do it twice, you cycle through them. If you want that one to be 2/3 and that one to be a third, you can, and then that Oh, my bad. This does work. Just because I'm still on the. Yeah, cool.
It's the sort of pimping that my environment needed. Okay, so we need to add a link to the page.
Should we be getting this error?
This is the Hamel error. Yeah, which we.
But should we be getting a no restaurants error here?
Should display a prompt where the restaurant failed. No restaurants yet.
So the resource did this.
Right, so expect page no restaurants yet. Was that test that we wrote? I know I wrote it.
Yeah.
Oh.
But it should be able to find the page now. It should be able to find.
Do we? Something's not working.
Yeah.
Do you want to restart the server maybe?
Oh no, show it to
I'm hoping that's not what it is, but. Good. But for some reason, I'm thinking it should show no restaurants. Yeah, on here. Oh, fuck.
But is it still? This test is saying it can't find.
Because we add it now and we add that HTML code to the template.
Okay. I just thought where it's saying expect to find text, no restaurants yet in.
Empty. Because it's empty.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
thought,
yeah, or
well, I thought it would find. For me, it sounds like it's not finding this, rather than it's finding it and it's just being
Show
empty.
me.
Where it's just saying no restaurants. Yeah, in.
well, let's change. Go back to the test. Change restaurants. Add an S to the end, not a double S. And run Aspect again.
Okay.
Do you want to see the error just so we can?
No root.
Okay.
Okay. So. No. Why have I forgot that? What?
But Sanjay's just coming in even when he doesn't need to.
Give him some keys, let him open up.
No restaurants yet.
Just fudge this by setting the link to go nowhere. Now our test is passing. On our server again. That works anyway. Let's do this anyway.
See the source code on there?
When you're doing
I prefer it just right click the source to open the new tab.
Yeah.
just seeing how this translates into that.
What's that?
CSRA.
I've seen CSRA.
It's something to do with security, like cross server. This is all the stuff that we'd add in to our template manually.
So this is just all generated for us. Automatically wrapped in a layout file. Style sheet. Don't know what data tunneling track is.
That's cool. Just go back to here. So you can change that to like the URL to something else, like MS, double S. That's wow. That's really useful when you start to have lots of URLs, so you can see all the ones that are available.
Actually telling you what's available. Yeah.
And it's just if it's only available in your development. You can do that if you push it. Oh, ICB London News doing a piece on London.
Yeah, I saw the cameras and I didn't know what it was for.
I mean, the idea is
All right.
Okay, so oh yeah, this is what you just. Okay, next test.
And then you put it down. And you do a bit of coding, you push it up.
Yeah.
And then you do this kind of figure eight thing.
Just go up a second, a bit.
So basically at the end, you both program equally.
Tiny bit more.
You both have the same code
Okay.
base.
Yeah.
I thought I'd seen that, and then I was like, okay. Alright, that's all good with me.
You put a nice logo in that you're happy with. I mean, that might come into, tomorrow. Because basically, I think to do is like tomorrow, negotiation with the next where are we up to? I guess you will further. Tomorrow, then.
I can just get push like that, can't I? I don't need to.
I think no. I think you do the first time. Oh no, you done already? Do just dash you. Still called. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
You see how like it's actually pretty easy. And it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I did do it. I think I did it once before, but not messing up with databases.
It's right.
Yeah.
In the Ruby refresh up almost.
It's bin/rails.
Do you have this by the way? The shimmy. So I have this set up.
It's easy to get out of sync.
So here it is. So for a new window will open in Makers Academy.
Okay.
If I add a new tab, it will open the existing directory. And the same for split panes. So I was in a different directory down here, so I just closed it and opened a new one, and it opens in the same window.
Yeah. So how do I set that? Give me.
I mean, basically, so I added it so that if I open a new window, it will default to Makers. Yeah. But
That's okay. It's definitely having a new tab is something I use quite a bit. So. Cool. Thanks for that. That was great.
Okay. My restaurant's been.
So second test, it should be
Rails server.
Yeah. And do you want to run DB migrate? So.
How was it? Rails DB?
DB : migrate, I think.
Okay.
Got it?
Do you know how to search for commands?
Nope.
Control R.
I know. I'm a custom.
Control R.
Oh, sorry.
Search for migrate. It's go out and see. So if I hit Control R, it'll start this. So if I do Git, for example,
Yeah.
right, I can Control R and it cycles through all this. So let's say you're like, oh, what was that, Boris? Oh, this new. You use item after you did the Boris Blake one.
So it stores everything.
So you know you have this thing called history, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there are. I'm pretty sure there's more than this. But yeah, you can go through. So if we look for spec runner, for example, and you can find anything. So yeah, you're like, oh, what was that migrate command? Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Sweet. So Control R.
Which that's actually my favorite command. Every time you want to do a push, so I especially now for Rails, because there's all these like migrate, there's all these like generate. So I can be like, generate what was the Rails G.
Yeah.
And that's how. Okay, cool. And I can just change that to whatever.
Yeah, no.
So it's like amazing.
You can set kind of shortcuts for like common commands, can't you? So you can just write like GI and it runs
I think so.
git commit or whatever.
Yeah.
Then it's just remembering
One out of 5.
Which was described what the inspect features.
My 4-year-old was asking.
Alright, so write an unit test for adding the rest.
Right. Okay, at the following inside the restaurant is described. There is no described one.
There is a feature.
Good question.
Context restaurants have been added. So I guess it's the feature
It's
one.
going to be on just on the feature block.
So here, right?
Yeah. Tap over.
Maybe.
It's in line with the previous
It
one.
is, yeah, cool. Yeah, I just can't tell.
So you said before how you take that thing. If you press enter again,
I'll get rid of it.
it
Okay.
will because it's selected. It's or at least in Atom, it's pre-selected.
Why did you choose Atom over Sublime?
It was sort of, I think
There was a-
kidding us. Right?
Very specific reason, which
I
is
will get
if you program yourself into an infinite loop and you ran it in Sublime, you had to go into top to cancel it.
Right.
Whereas in Atom,
automatically generated.
it brings up this thing, and you can Control C out of it, stop it, which you couldn't in Sublime. You had to quit Sublime, stop the processing in HTTP in top, open Sublime. Whereas here you could just Control C, and then Atom was a fork of Sublime, and then it was pimped out by the Google engineers. I'm like, well, that's got to
At some point, you should probably like put a gist together or something of going, right, this is how you should set up a brand new.
I did actually write. I have one that's half written.
Yeah. It'd be really handy for anyone that starts. Particularly, if you borrow one of these making laptops, it's just got nothing on it.
Right.
That'd be cool just to go right.
Well, there's we should get us set up.
Yeah, I found one that I followed
Oh, there's a
through.
new one. Thought what? Yeah, so you can basically run that.
Oh, no.
So they could do a makers one. Look, so they say, so Ruby, I can install like all these things. Which I'm guessing makers is already using, but you can add even more stuff.
Cool. I'm also already thinking after this course, I'm going to have to hand this back.
Yeah.
And I really want, like, either to be able to set up my new one or just to have the something to follow. So, yeah, that's cool.
Alright. Anyway. Restaurants have been added. Do. For do. Run.create.
Okay.
So this is our first KFC. No, not KFC. Chipotle. Is that they have those over here?
Yeah, they do somewhere. Yeah. I don't think you see them that much, but pretty sure.
You okay with me not putting KFC in?
Definitely.
Fuck KFC. Before I hope that doesn't come back to bite us. Scenario.
I normally follow exactly what the tutorial says because otherwise I will slip up at some point and forget that I changed it.
Do. Which is.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you
Visit restaurants. Expect.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay.
Have
Content.
well,
Well,
just skip this? Just you.
Page.
Not
Not
to.
to. Not.
remember how
Content. Okay, I get on board with that. That's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, so basically, like,
Should display prompts on the restaurant. Oh, and this has constant restaurant. Yeah. I'm using Brian's journal to get Okay.
You're good, Dad.
Bin Rails generate model name. Oh, we're doing that straight from here. Holy crap!
That's cool.
Rating integer.
basically we just go.
Haha. Ready? I want to show you the migration file.
Okay.
Actually,
So invoke active record.
migrate. So see how it got generated with the date, the time.
Yeah. That's like our git commit kind of.
So should we look at the difference between that and the model? So right now they're going to be the same. I would expect. They're not. That's really interesting. So our model, I think this is my understanding of it. Oh, it's going to talk about it here.
Try your version first.
The model is empty. It's like, here's the default model, and then apply this change to it. And I think if we run migrate now, it would like add all this into here. Then we commit, these changes will be in here, but you still have to run migrate. We'll see it in a sec.
Okay.
And then if I make a change to, like, if I add another field, there would be a new migrate. I have to run that and apply it. You'll see why that becomes useful soon when we switch, probably. Okay. Create new model, application migration.
New model. Yeah.
each item get ID automatically.
Cool.
By the model restaurant senior the control of Rails metal assumptions of how you and then we might add a property name. Sorry,
Okay. No, there's one as a string name property that's specified and generated timestamps automatically added for migration timestamps.
okay. So should I migrate?
Yeah.
So this is that example where I control R. So like new. Spin rate. Did that work? How does that work? And how does it know not like it has to be bin? That's nice. That's what when you have these. That's what I was saying. Now, when you have these long commands, now you can just do Control R, migrate, run.
Yeah.
It really saves you so much time. You'll probably get syntax errors, and then so let's run RSpec and it should fail.
It's just display.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna
Restaurants.
local post. What's it called? Yelp
Underscore clone.
clone development.
Any questions?
Because we run migrate on one and not on the other. I just wanted to.
So you need to change the port. Is it?
I think so.
Because any is that's a message. That's a message
So it looks like it's tried to run them,
Yeah.
even though I only ran it on one. Which is interesting. I didn't run that. Which is what Sam was saying before. Sometimes it will do automatically, and sometimes it won't.
Okay.
Yes, no.
It ran it on both.
I only ran it on one, and it seemed to have run it on both.
Okay.
Okay, should we try Rails D?
Yeah.
See what it does.
Yeah.
What?
Rails destroy generator. Please choose.
Do you get what happened there?
Did it actually do anything?
I don't think so.
Is it just asking us to?
Yeah, give it
So if
more.
we added migration, is that what it
It does
means?
have a rating.
I'm not going to do it. It's like committed.
Yeah.
Ah, that's interesting. DB schema.
That was created, wasn't it, when we ran DB migrate the first time?
Is that what it does?
That was we were getting that. I was getting that error, wasn't I? Saying you haven't created DB schema. Sorry, yeah, you haven't created schema.rb. Run DB migrate to do this.
So DB migrate. Okay, I sort of get it. But at some point, you need like every version of your migrates like in one file, which is this. So these are the changes, and then this is the definitive. And so if you had to set up a new database, you could just run this. It runs it like Rails runs this in the background. Create table. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
That version.
That's really interesting. Yes, that version refers back to that.
So the current or the latest migration.
Which refers back to that.
Yeah.
Which, if you're debugging an application, you have multiple environments. I can see would be invaluable. Know what version of the code do I have?
Yeah. Would it show you each one, or would it just show you the most recent one? Like, would it update this to reflect the most
It
recent
should
one?
do. Yeah, that's. I mean,
But we can find out next time we do one.
I'm happy to get add, yeah, it's added models.
Yeah.
Do you see why that works?
And I'm gonna say I personally like to review the commit. Conceptually, I get what we've done, but I'd like to see.
Yeah.
This kind of makes me happy. So I like seeing this. Oh shit! I still would have, for some reason, expected like something to be in there. But I guess that's in here instead. Yeah, look.
Yeah. That's cool. And it created this.
I guess the concept of migration is still a little bit crazy. Oh, forgot to do something. Bugger. I was like, I wanted to do something that I thought was really cool with Scott, which was to start including these in the commit messages.
The idea of the migrate.
So where did we last switch? Here, right?
Before the second test.
Yeah, so here. So let me just try something.
But if you exit this won't show.
Let's go to mine.
But I can't actually update.
That's all we really did.
Yeah, isn't that just?
Yeah.
Oh,
Whereas in Irish, I can't update. So how is it that in here I can actually update it?
What's slash F do?
Yeah. So I just rewrote history.
Just overwrites that.
Yeah. And see those three dots there?
Yeah.
Because this is how I learn, is I go back to my commits and I'm like, what did I do there? So by adding it on the second line of the commit message, we can come back to it and see the commands that we run.
Yeah, that's good. Makes a lot of sense to do. It's the sort of thing you tend to just be late. I'm really lazy with my messages and stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
and then the amend flag. Did you see me do the amend flag on the commit? Yeah.
Okay.
So that allows me to overwrite the last commit.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. I guess you maybe never ever committed something and then realized that that wasn't what you actually wanted to commit.
I should use that.
Especially off the back of like what they said about potential employers will review your GitHub. So I really try and have really nice clean commits.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of tidying up to do. Okay, so
you have to run the migrate, I guess. Another option would be to something else I'm thinking of doing is creating a hook that pulls the last things from history, last lines. I'm sure there's like an history and history and 10.
Just history 10?
Oh, that's option.
Maybe.
Awesome. So imagine figuring out like, okay, so on my last commit, I was at this number, and then creating a like history.txt file, and then commit it into your change log.
Yeah.
That'd be the other thing. Think about these things. But I think like for my learning, I know that would be really useful.
Yeah,
Have
yeah, definitely.
all those commands in there.
No, in restaurants controller, we've got to get all the restaurants from the database. Let's do this in the wrong way first. Alright, so I'm going to replace the content with all of that, which I'm definitely not cutting and pasting.
Why is that the wrong way? It seems like a great. What cardinal sin have we committed? Copy pasting. What? Cardinal sin.
We don't want it in our index page.
I can see what they. I just read it and I can see what they're complaining about. But I'm like, wow. So can we add one to the database and just prove that it works? Maybe for example, like in PSQL.
Mm-hmm. I need to get it set up.
Yeah, it should work.
Should work anyway.
Huh, my bad. Okay, Control N. Oh, yeah. But it should only be one or the other. I don't know why. I've never had that issue. Can you run?
Yours wasn't called schema migration, so was it here?
Yeah.
It was. Okay.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Can't remember how I add.
Yeah, just there.
What's that?
Or there's a.
Ah, yeah. Can try giving it a.
Sure.
It's non-null constraint.
Create that. Yeah. Yeah.
Can't we have a default?
Yeah. Now. Right now.
Now.
And then be like this.
Idea should be able to leave blank.
Yay! So easily, please.
We're talking directly to our model from our view.
Talking directly to our model.
So
From our view.
it's the controller that should be managing all this, right? Yeah.
Like I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I was absent last week.
Sorting out stuff.
No, just I'm like crazy migraines. I mean, I got like stuff done. There's no use.
Actually, yeah, I mean, it's actually not the end of the world, because they can do anything. So it's pretty like, I feel like it was very self. Like, you either, if you didn't, there's no continuity in what you were doing last week.
Yeah, the weekend, like, I created a to-do list, but I just did the list. Like, I didn't make tests.
Yeah, I mean, you still did pretty well though. If you,
Yeah, I was only able to create a list with 2 things on, add it, and then you can remove all of them. Do a ticket and process it out.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Okay, so we've just done this, creating some variable restaurants, successful in our index view. Refer to it in our HTML.
So just, I'm going to write that down. Primary visuals.
I was worried we should keep going down the path. Yeah.
Let's see where we are.
So our view should call our controller, and our controller should call our model. Yeah.
Yeah, and vice versa. Right. Okay, so in summary, our URL restaurants hits the Rails routing system, which passes the request to the index action in the restaurant's controller, which queries the database for any restaurant models. The controller then passes an instance variable containing all the restaurant models to the view, where they can be correctly formatted. The controller returns the results of HTML back to the browser. Okay, everything passes. That was a short driving session.
I wonder if they. I mean, I was going to say, I wonder if they've put this very easy to check. If they made changes on here. Right. Of course. What was that? Log master Rails. This one, right? The last change. I wonder if they changed the driver navigator thing now off the back of the last week.
Yeah. Okay. So you wanted to put in I haven't really got anything to put in the commit message.
Well, yeah, show
You want this?
Here, look, can I show you something?
Yeah, go for it.
Stefan, oh, sorry. Forgot.
Yep.
Bollocks. Stefan showed me this last week. So, well, I mean, the A flag does that.
Yeah.
So you don't. It's kind of redundant. Okay, because you've already added them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So V will show you. Will bring up. You've seen this screen before. If you forgot to put type M.
Okay.
So this is the same. Like, so when you put type M, you skip having to see this screen. If you want to add a multi-line commit message like I did before, this is what you bring up.
Yeah.
The V flag shows you a diff, which you can probably see why it's useful as well.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to figure out your commit message, this is a good place to come and be like, oh, okay, so show added restaurants to the view, or show show list of restaurants, something like that.
Yeah.
So it Vim get insert, type it in.
Do I need it in quotes? I don't.
No.
Okay.
Is that it? Escape :WQ to write. That's for me. I find that when I'm like, oh, what did I actually do here? Brings it up. You can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
It's been pushed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That working? No.
Maybe
Cool.
What does that say there?
What's making this confusing? It's only using data.
It's like you are no rating. That's the only one that you're taking so that means
It's just like
I'm just copying testing.
thank you.
Cool. Okay.
From Steve.
well, normally you don't have to say that the variable. Yes.
Restaurants.
It was a 5 rather than a dollar password.
What?
You know, the YouTube login.
Oh, yeah.
It's a 5,
You
not a
told
dollar.
me, yeah.
That's what comes here. It's been
And
hard to equal. Yeah, cool.
okay. So, let me find your name. Okay. So, how adventurous are you feeling? I'd like to try and solve this one. I thought it was going to go back to you, and I'm happy to bring it back to you. Without actually looking at the solution, try and say, okay, this is the test we've written.
And we're getting capybara errors now because we put in elements such as click link, click button.
Yeah, capybara. Unable to find field the name. What I'm surprised at, right, no, because it can click the link. does click the link. There's the
Yeah, we
link
do
there,
have a link. Yeah.
but it's just a bullets link.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining use restaurants new.html.erb. Does that make sense? No?
Yeah.
New.html.erb.
Yeah.
And we're going to want to go there from here.
Yeah.
Let's nice. Get restaurants new. So index is going to go to there.
Yeah.
And the new is going to go to there. Okay.
And we've got a prefix for that new_restaurant as well. It says that it'll come back to where we use them or how we use them later. So maybe it does in this next bit.
So what are you saying? You're saying I can just put that in the link?
Yeah, maybe.
No, I don't think that'll work. Okay, try it. I mean, we can try it. Oh, bollocks.
No root matches. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe it's a. That was kind of silly of me. Maybe it's something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That would seem.
Name.
Okay. Well, it's Sinatra. That means Sinatra is actually running on that port.
Still.
No, I don't think it is. Let me go back to. How is it? Is it like that? Because we're no.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I was looking down here, by the way.
Okay.
I think. How do you do it when you're saying relative? How do you write a relative root? Do you remember?
Just dots that.
Or maybe it's just. No. Okay. Let's see what the tutorial says when we get to it. Okay. So, no root matches get new.
So it does want the restaurant.
No, it's going to the wrong place. Hang on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was. I hadn't refreshed. So that's good. And we're good. What? Yeah. Cool. We're testing all these assumptions.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have bootstrap yet, does it? Do you want to add bootstrap form, or you'd rather add a manual form?
Yeah, there's bootstrap.
And we're just adding. So we haven't added the CSS yet, but labels. Name, right? Name and rating. Name. Are you okay with like deviating from the tutorial a little bit and trying to figure it out as opposed to just copying it?
Yeah, it's adding.
Now that we've got a rough example.
So next to the database,
Okay, equals text. And we'll need to save that as an integer probably when it.
I think that's.
What did we say in our test? Click button and create. I wish I could ping it back to you now. Name.
Name.
Sorry, unable to find field name.
Okay, which is what we were getting.
Name. Isn't it name? Name equals name. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Can't remember if it is name. Yeah.
Here we'll need a. Okay. Did we? Okay, we didn't add a rating. But anyway. So I added a rating field. And it looks like you don't add a rating to begin with, which I guess kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that. And then basically for this to be
Okay. So we're imagining it's going to have a method. How do we say that? Method. Is this where we put posts, or is this where we put where it actually goes to? Do you want action? Isn't there an action? Action method equals. Isn't it? Method equals get, and action equals in the root. If at any point you want to switch back to the tutorial, just let me know.
Yeah.
But I think this way we're going to remember it a bit better. Action equals roots new via a post.
Where's the action come from?
I'm pretty sure that was just that's how we specified the URL and where we wanted it to go. Yeah. So when we were doing the Sinatra ones, that's how we used to do it.
Okay.
Just post it to that URL. So and and if it's like just for whatever reason it's not 100% clear, let's do it. It should post to restaurants new. It's kind of like what that does.
Okay.
Which is
great. Yeah.
So it's just to post to restaurants that we need to do.
Yeah.
Not to restaurants new. Actually, this might work off the bat. Now, ready? No root matches posts. Oh, I still have the old version. Timbo.
Okay.
And that kind of makes sense, right?
Haven't got anything in there.
So, def instead of index, it's create. Yeah?
Yeah.
So we've got that.
Okay.
I'm liking Rails more now. At restaurant equals. I mean, if this was name. Do you remember how to do this?
No.
Right, I'm ready to go back to the tutorial. Conceptually, I know what we should be doing, but I don't remember the syntax.
Yeah.
Ready? See how far off we were.
Are you writing the next test?
I'm going to find your name. It doesn't go anywhere. Feeling advanced, feeling well. This is what I wanted to do.
That's what we were trying to use, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you think about see if you can use a Rails path helper rather than having to do once you've got the links, you should get in your okay, so should we Google this and see how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah. Link to
Because what do we do for index?
good point.
So you're not producing.
No, there's no link.
No.
But so yeah, in the action, instead of saying that, I feel like if they're being adventurous, but they don't actually.
Yeah.
Here we go. Chat, no.
That's new. Happier in Rails.
I was liking Angular towards the end of the week. My issue, I guess one of the things that I realized one of the things I was struggling with, the reason I wanted to learn to code so that I could hack together my own little tools to save myself time and to do data analysis, data science type stuff, and also potentially if I have an idea to build out my own prototype to test the hypothesis. And potentially even up to the point where if I did ever want to go down that route, to basically look, get funding. And Angular isn't necessarily a good thing for either of those bits. I see Angular as like a V2 of a project or a prototype. Unless you're very good at it, in which case you knock yourself out and go ahead and mock it up in the mean stack. Otherwise, Rails seems like a really easy way to. So when you implement Angular to improve the user experience, you're only incrementally. You only have an incremental improvement on the performance of your platform. You improve the user experience significantly, but it's not going to be the what do they call it? The incremental improvement versus innovation versus a radical innovation. So I guess that's why it's more of a like deeper thing. I was having conflict. I was having with all this stuff. I'm kind of what I would have liked more this morning when they did the intro to Rails was to talk more about like where Rails fits into all of this, like depending on the type of project you're doing, what sort of a good fit is for, what it's not a good fit for. Why did Twitter stop using Rails? I find those things really interesting. Well, I know the answer. I know the answer. It's a scaling issue. Rails sucks. Rails has massive performance issues as soon as you try and scale it up. But I think it would be interesting if they give you some context.
Yeah.
At least I'm the sort of person that works better with context. Are you stopping it?
How do you stop it?
There's probably another window open somewhere. Two fingers swipe up.
Oh, really? What kind of food?
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. I just pressed stop.
Oh, you have already?
But it looked like it was still live. No.
Yeah, I guess it's stop.
Basically, you've got no hot water.
Yeah, it's still going. Yeah.
That's private deal, right?
I do, yeah. Well, I'm not
This be what?
That's weird.
Whoa! I completely freaked me out.
Stop it.
You just like close the window.
It's weird though, isn't it?
So, did you guys figure out how to use the Rails helper parts things? Sorry, the Rails path helpers for URLs. Did you figure out what it was?
I've not got to that tutorial.
Okay.
But I've not actually really figured out how much it is.
Okay.
Sorry, you're ready to go?
Yeah. Right. Some feedback. We didn't notice until like the
Still saying it's live.
Oh, well, good luck with that.
Why?
So there's a lot of free food right now. Yes.
It's even so special, Alex. Can't even look at it.
Ah, it's